Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious podcast. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously.
Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And on today's episode of the Ambitchious podcast, I am in a bad fucking mood today. I am in a bad mood. And the reason why I'm in a bad mood is because I'm just a fucking petty, salty bitch, born and raised that way. But the real reason I'm in a bad mood is I have had some things come up in my life because when you are healing, when you are leveling up, when you are trying to get closer to the person you desire to be and further away from the garbage person that you were, things are going to come up. People are going to test your last motherfucking nerve. And I feel like I am one of the people that I know that has pretty impeccable, fierce boundaries. I mean, I teach this. I talk about it on my podcast ad nauseum. I teach about it and do shadow work about it constantly over on my Ambitchious app. And I will tell you this, anytime that you are about to go to the next level, Satan is going to come for you. Enemy energy is going to come for you. Remember, I always say that thieves don't break into empty homes. They just don't. So obviously, if you're being fucked with, if your boundaries are being pressed, if you have drawn a line in the sand and people just keep going over it and going over it and going over it, it's time for you to check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself. Because if you do not, the people in your life, and it could be the people who are closest to your nucleus, your loved ones, your family members, your significant others, your best friends, your closest colleagues and coworkers, or it could be, the person at the checkout at CVS. You know who you are, you fucking bitch. Carol, you always give me an attitude when I'm just going to buy my adult diapers. God damn it. Ring me up, because you know what? AI is going to take over your job soon, so you better be nice, okay? I don't care who it is, but people are audacious, and they are dumb motherfuckers, and if you give someone an inch, they will take a mile. That is human nature, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, Katie, you're so mean. Yeah, I am, okay? Yeah, I am. And the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying about boundaries, about people, is because I look at my life and I say, wow, my life is pretty fucking good. I have worked really hard and been focused for 25 plus years to get my life to the place it is today. And I just look around and I say, oh my God, the only things that give me problems in the world are people. Now, am I saying that you need to isolate and cut everybody off? No. But sometimes it takes a refresher course when your boundaries are not feeling so fresh. So I am not going to be going over all the happy horse shit about people going on and talking great about my podcast. Please do give me a 5-star review. You know, it takes a lot of time and effort to do this every week. I don't want to even talk about that. I want to get right to the nitty gritty, because this is going to be a pack-jammed podcast today. And we are going to delve deep into everything boundaries. I've done podcasts about boundaries before, but obviously we're all a bunch of dumb bitches, and we need people to keep telling us over and over and over again that we're not doing things the right way. Because if we had fierce, impeccable boundaries, we wouldn't feel like a bag of smashed assholes. So that is what this podcast is about today. It's all about boundaries, boundaries with a capital B, B for bitch, because it's the only way. It's the only way to have impeccable boundaries is to be a bitch, is to be in total control of herself. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to draw the line. We're going to draw the line. We're going to draw the line politely. And if it gets too crazy, we might have to get salty. We might have to get rude, but I'm going to do it from a polite place. Okay. So clean the fucking potatoes out of your ears, bitch, because this podcast is for you. I really truly believe that one of the most important yet overlooked social skills in the world is setting fierce and impeccable boundaries. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know for a motherfucking fact that 98% of this world's population has no clue what the fuck that they're doing when it comes to setting fierce and impeccable boundaries that stand the test of time, that keep you sane and safe and sober. Okay. And boundaries are rooted in clear communication. And the clearer you are, the better your life is going to be. And I'm going to tell you this right now because I used to think that people could read my mind magically. I don't know why I thought that. I must have had dumb bitch syndrome. Someone must have dropped me on my head as a baby. But I always just thought like people should just understand me and people should just treat me the way that I treat them. And everyone in the world should show up for me the way I show up for them. Fucking cold ass clit day in hell. If you think that people are going to show up for you and respect your boundaries the way that you respect people's. And I think that that is one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in life is expecting yourself from others. When you expect yourself from other people, you are going to constantly and continuously be let down. And I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling let down, I get resentful and cunty. Not even cunty. Cunty with an H. Okay. And I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel angry at the world. I don't want to have every day of my life revolve around my sadness and my pain and my past and coulda, shoulda, wouldas. I desire deeply to every day wake up and live my life with purpose and use my God-given talents and gifts to help awaken the world and however I can do that. And that's why I come here every week and I podcast. That's why I have Katie Boyd's Fit Club, my wellness center in Hudson, New Hampshire, where I coach hundreds of women every week and thousands on this podcast and hundreds and even tens of thousands over the years on my app and in my virtual programs where I coach women from all across the globe. So that's my purpose. And that's why like 98% of the time I feel really good. But the number one time where I have taken a consensus lately of when I'm not feeling so fresh is when people are stepping over my boundaries and they are bringing me their bullshit on a daily basis. And, you know, I'm a strong bitch. Like I can handle things only so long, just like probably you out there. You're like, I can handle a lot of pressure. I can handle a lot of stress, but I'm also the type of person that, and this is a downfall and I'm working on this every day of my life, is to just like nip things in the bud. And I don't want to ruminate and perseverate and like go over and over and over ad nauseum in my head about like what this person said and what this person did and why this person acted this way. And it's just not good. And when your brain is taken up by so much bullshit, how can you be creative? How can you make money? How can you find the person of your dreams? How can you have healthy, loving, kind relationships? You can't, because there's only so much room every day in your life, right? So what are healthy boundaries? I think this is the first thing that I really want to hit upon today, because I don't even think, like up until recently, maybe a couple of years ago, I didn't even know what constituted healthy boundaries. I just thought this is how the world is. This is how we all live. And it's fucking chaos. But when you have people who love you and who respect your boundaries and vice versa, your life is full of harmony. And I notice every so often when I let things go a little too far, that is when my life gets chaotic. And I don't like that feeling. And I am I know that you guys all think, oh, Katie's so tough. And I am tough, but I'm very soft on the inside and I'm very fragile. And I am very cerebral and I think a lot and I ruminate and I perseverate and I future trip and I make up scenarios in my head. And I'm sure that you're out there listening wherever you are and you're shaking your head going like, me too, me too. I think most women do that. And I think a lot of those things are defense mechanisms from growing up in chaotic, abusive homes with trauma and different things that we've gone through. And while those things probably kept us safe when we were younger, they're not helping us be the best that we can be as adult women, right? So healthy boundaries, okay, are the limits you place around your time, your emotions, your physical body, and your mental and psychological health. And those boundaries, with all of the things that I just said, help you stay resilient and vigilant and focused and free and harmonious and feeling safe. And these borders are to be empowering, and they're also used to protect you from being used, drained, and manipulated by others who A, may not have your best interest at heart, or B, are dumber than a bag of dicks and they don't even know that they're doing those things to you because they're just stupid AF. Either way, both of those people, the dumb and the knowing, are fucking dangerous. And people go, dangerous, Katie, that's going a little too far. Yeah, they're fucking dangerous because those people that don't have boundaries, the trickle down effect of what they can do to your life is so scary when you think about it. We're going to get into that today, but I really want you to understand first what boundaries are. Now, what can you set boundaries around? People always ask me this. And the truth of the matter is you can really set boundaries around anything. But pretty much the main boundaries that you set are for emotional energy, your time, your personal physical space, right? And in your environment, your sexuality can have boundaries, your morals, what you stand for, your ethics, your views, your material possessions, your money and your wealth and your finances. And also you can also have boundaries around social media, which, that's a newer thing, maybe the last 15 years where, social media plays such a large part in our life. But you can have boundaries around that as well. And boundaries can also be set with people like your family. It doesn't have to be your mom and dad. It could be your cousins. It could be sisters, brothers. It could be aunts, uncles, grandparents, children. Okay. Your friends. Again, it doesn't have to be your BFF. It could be, I always believe that there's like rings of friends. So there's like your inner circle, and then it keeps kind of going out, almost like the solar system. Right? You can set your boundaries with romantic, sexy. I hope we have some sexy relationships, sexual relationships, your romantic relationships, your significant others. Okay. It could also be with coworkers, and it could literally be with strangers like Carol at CVS, who just is such a whore with her feathered fucking hair and her ciggy butt lines all around her mouth, yelling at me when I'm at self checkout because God forbid she has to walk her fucking ass around and help me if something is fucked up, like when I go to buy razor blades to shave my fucking grundle and I have to take it out of that clear box because everyone's thieves now and they just steal everything, right? And I just look at Carol and go, well, you're not going to have a job soon. So, hi, Carol, if you're listening. I doubt you are. You're probably watching Trailer Park Boys. Anywho, so though these boundaries, right, they're not all blatantly clear as a fence, right? Or a wall. There's no trespassing around your neck, okay? Healthy boundaries will be communicated with what you will and will not tolerate with others. And in short, as we all know, boundaries empower you to take care of your life. And if people don't want to have their own fucking healthy boundaries, that's on them. But I think as an ambitious woman, as the HBIC, of your ambitious life, you have to have some type of boundaries. Okay. So healthy boundaries versus unhealthy boundaries. Let's go through them because I want you guys to really out there, get a journal, sit down and really think about this. Maybe listen to it once while you're doing, you're driving in your car, you're walking at the park or whatever, or you're at the gym, but then really re-listen to this podcast again and think about how many healthy boundaries you have compared to unhealthy. And I did this with my clients the other day on my app, and I was really surprised. And I think that they were really surprised too with how they thought they were so healthy with their boundaries. And when they actually like went through it, they were like, shit, we have a lot of work to do, right? So people with strong boundaries, they tend to have lower stress levels, which is so important in this day and age. They have higher self-confidence. They have higher self-esteem. They have higher self-worth, which is huge, right? I think the biggest thing plaguing our earth today and the people in it is not feeling like they're enough, not feeling worthy, right? And that leads to a plethora of so many other things. But one of the things is self-sabotage, right? Because they're like, I'm not even worthy to have this thing, so why even try? Or they get halfway through to the place that they want to be, and then they throw the monkey wrench in the wheel. And I see this all the time with amazing clients who could be doing such huge things, but they just can't get their shit together, right? And on the other hand, people that don't have fierce, ambitious boundaries may inadvertently let others take advantage of them. So if you're that kind of person there, you wake up in the morning, you go, oh my God, like I have totally, been thrown over a barrel and people have just been like riding a train on me for the last, how many months or years. That's you. But remember, we teach people how to treat us. So if people are breaking your boundaries, it's not a them problem, it's a you problem. And I'm not just saying that to you out there in Ambitchious land. I'm saying that to myself. I have to remind myself constantly. Think about, I talk to, I would say, between 200 and 300 different people a week between my app, my one-on-ones, the women that I work with in my service league here in my local town, friends, family members. I mean, think of how many times you are put into positions weekly, even daily, that you have to keep track of all the boundaries. It's a full-time job, right? So when people have poor boundaries, they lack self-confidence, they lack a sense of purpose, they don't really have a clear identity to guide them through life. A lot of people who have shitty boundaries went through a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse as a child. They could be parents of gaslighting narcissists. They could be children to parents that have had, addiction, whether it's drug or alcohol or even sexual or even gambling or, anything like that. You see a lot of, and listen, I'm not a psychiatrist. I only play one on television, but you see that a lot when you're doing this kind of research. And a lot of these poor boundaries, like I said before, it can lead to such resentment and anger and rage and in the long run, burnout. And I've been there. You guys, I've been there so many times. And I've done tons of podcasts and I've done tons of coaching around burnout because I think it's something that just plagues us. And burnout, like I said, it's not just like this, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. It's like your soul is exhausted. When you're really, really, really burnt out, your soul is just exhausted. And people without clear-cut, concise boundaries can be easily persuaded into things that they don't want to do because they may act out of guilt or obligation rather than self-love and self-confidence and self-esteem and just like knowing who the fuck you are and what you stand for. Because like my grandmother always said, if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. So I want to talk about kind of like the juxtaposition of like healthy versus unhealthy boundaries. I want to give you guys some examples because I'm the type of person, I love examples and I also love stories. Those are the two things in my opinion that help me learn things and get it in that coconut up here better than any other way to learn. That's just my personal opinion. So if you protect yourself. So number one, if you protect yourself from getting taken advantage of, that's a sign that you have healthy boundaries. Signs that you have poor or unhealthy boundaries is you are vulnerable to being used or taken advantage of. So how do you test that water? If you are the type of person that goes, oh my God, this person totally fucking used me. I did this for them. They didn't do that back for me. La, la, la. They took from me. La, la, la. Like, I know that we all have had it happen to us at least once in our lives. But when you constantly are saying things like that it's your fault. It's not the person taking advantage of you. It's you. Somewhere, somehow, at some point, you gave them some kind of energetic exchange that said, this is okay to do this to me. It's all right. And I don't know what it is that you did, but I do it all the time. And then I kick myself, like, why did I fucking say that to that person? Why did I allow them to do that? Or when they said this thing to me, why didn't I just say, no, that's not how this works, or whatever the case may be? So remember, I'm going to keep coming back to, we teach people how to treat us. Also, Ambitchious take radical responsibility for where they are in their lives. Radical responsibility. When we take radical responsibility, we put all the ownership of it on ourselves. And when we put the ownership of anything to us, we have the power. When we place blame, go back to the victim podcast I did a couple weeks ago. Okay. When we place the blame on other people, we're taking our power away from us. It seems like easier to place the blame on those people in the moment, but long term, it's chipping away at our self-worth. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second sign of a healthy person who has healthy boundaries is they own their time. And the unhealthy equivalent is they overcommit their time to others and leave little time for themselves. You always see these people, and I know a lot of them, and sometimes I can be that person, is we give and give and give, and we set ourselves on fire to keep everyone else warm. And at the end of the day, we're so burnt out, we're so frazzled and exhausted, and our days have been so chaotic just trying to do everything for everyone else that there's no energy left for our own self-care, for our own health, for our own wealth and exercise and eating healthy and getting our 8 hours of sleep and surrounding ourselves with people who fill us up rather than drain us, right? So if you're listening to this right now and you're shaking your head and you're like, oh my God, that sounds like me, you have unhealthy boundaries and we have to fix that. The next one is they have very high self-esteem and they have high self-respect. Okay. And then the opposite of that is they have low self-esteem and they have an inner critical dialogue. So inner critical dialogue is like, you're too stupid, you're too fat, you're dumb. Who do you think you are doing this? You'll never do this. That person will never want you. That person doesn't like you. Like, you're not good enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. And it was funny because I had this thing happen at the country club that I belong to. I know that's like the whitest thing I've ever said in my life, right? My half black husband just loves these conversations. But anyways, so I belong to a country club. And the other day I was golfing with really good friends of mine and it was late and we were like, there was not really a lot of people playing. And I was like, oh, let's skip to the next hole instead of like going all the way down, whatever. And so we did. No big deal. And we all of a sudden, like, this guy came charging over like the hill and was screaming, like, who do you think you are? Skipping ahead. You have no right to do this. Blah, 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 blah. And I like froze. Like, I was like, is this fucking guy really like in this day and age, a man charging at two women, because we were with our husbands, but our husbands were like way ahead of us. It was just me and my friend Kelly. And I was like, is this really happening? Am I being punked? Because in this day and age, like, I don't know, hello, like, stop speaking to women like dogs, you fucking piece of shit. And so I was like, okay, dude, like, fucking chill out, you fucking asshole. You're not goddamn fucking DeChambeau, the guy that just won the US Open. Like, calm your fucking tits. You got a gut hanging down to your fucking kneecaps. You know, your gut is so big that he has a little tiny anteater under there somewhere that he probably hasn't seen since the fucking Reagan administration. Okay. His pubes are probably longer than his cock. And he's like yelling at us. And I'm like, okay. And so where I'm from, okay, I know that I don't seem like this to you guys because I've worked really hard on, making myself be a certain way. But where I come from, people like that get knocked the fuck out. Okay. And the Katie that is from Taunton, Massachusetts, that used to get jumped, in the in the locker rooms, like, I will take my fucking hoop earrings out and I will beat your ass. But I'm trying to be a classy lady, a lady who lunches. A lady who goes and golfs with her friends in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. And I was so taken aback by this man speaking to us like that I felt myself kind of like go in. And then for the rest of the day, I could not stop thinking about it. Like, it totally ruined the rest of the day. It ruined my golf game. I didn't enjoy my dinner. I was just like perseverating about it and thinking about it and perseverating about it and thinking about it. And I wasn't like talking about it to like be like, oh my God, can you believe that guy did that to us? Like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Right. I was talking about it because I was almost like it with my friends, processing it out loud, because I'm like, what about me doesn't feel strong enough that she won't let her ghetto ass side come out to put a man in his place for talking to women like they are dogs on the side of the street? And, I kind of got like aggravated because I was like, what is not healed within me that I didn't let go right back up to this guy and get in his face? And maybe you're out there and you're like, Katie, you shouldn't have done that. Like, you did the right thing. But I'm just like angry at myself. And then I really thought about it. I thought about it for a couple days later. I thought about it in my meditation. I kept asking Spirit, like, what is not healed about me? And when I really got quiet, and that's the best time to talk to Spirit, is when you get really quiet and you let Spirit speak to you, let God speak to you. What I heard was, you don't really feel like you fit in or belong at this country club because where you came from. Like, who are you to be able to go to this prestigious country club and play golf with all these beautiful people who, are very wealthy and very smart and very, connected? Like, you belong living in a van down by the river. Now, I know that that's not true. Like, my outer facade knows, and my reasoning mind knows that that's not true. But that little inner critical dialogue, that little unhealed, wounded inner child that says, money doesn't grow on trees, there's never enough, we can't afford that, who do you think you are kind of energy, don't forget where you came from. I hear that one a lot from people that I grew up with. And there was like a moment where I think that my subconscious mind kicked in and I allowed this guy to speak to me that way and speak to my friend that way. I don't think Kelly really cares. She's so fucking chill. She's just like, whatever, he's an asshole. But like, I cared. Like, I was pissed. And, I even said to my husband, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go there anymore. Like, maybe we should get rid of our membership. Like, these people aren't like us. Like, blah, 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 blah. And Matt's like, fuck you. I love golfing there. It's freaking fun. I get to hang out with my friends, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh my God, Katie, like, this is not even you speaking. This is like that unhealed part of you that has low self-esteem still, that has low confidence, that was told her whole life, we're poor or money doesn't grow on trees. And who do you think we are? The Rockefellers, like, we can't afford that. So they're on a subconscious level. I still think that I am still that girl from Taunton, and I'm not. I'm so successful. I have worked so long and so hard to become who I am. And it's only because I haven't healed that part of me. Now, I'm saying to you as your coach and as someone who loves you dearly that we have to do this work. But even me as your coach, as someone who I think from the outside looking in looks like she pretty much has it all together, I still get fucked up. And I still feel like I'm not enough. And it all has to do with boundaries. So God forbid anyone ever fucking even looks at me the wrong way again. Not even at the country club, any fucking where. I have to stand in my power and be like, fuck this. Like, I have to stick up for myself. I'm not going to let people, like, because I think that they're better than me, talk to me like I'm their fucking left hand that they just spanked their monkey with. Like, fuck you. So I'm telling you these stories to entertain you, but also to educate you and let you see, like, listen, I am so strong and powerful, but I still have days where I fall back, and that critical inner dialogue comes up and says, like, you're not better and you're not good and you're not enough. And who the hell do you think you are? You shouldn't even be here. You don't belong here. And I'm working on that every day. And I'm sharing this with all of you, not because I want you to think like I'm a victim, because I'm fucking not. And I also don't want you, because I've had people recently say like, oh, Katie, you just get over it. You just get over it. And it's like, you can't just get over something that has been ingrained in your mind and in your physical body for 20, 30, 40 years. Right. And I was saying on my app today, it's almost like if you got into a car accident going 100 miles an hour and you went through the windshield and you were fucking tore up from the floor up, right? Both of your legs were in cast. Your arms were in cast. You had a fucking halo around your head. You had a friggin' thing around your neck, and you were in the hospital. No one would be like, girl, like toughen up, get up on your feet and let's hobble on out of here. No one would say that to you because physical pain and physical brokenness is so much more empathized with than inside pain. Like you would never tell someone that got in a car accident, get up and walk it off. But why do we say that to people in our lives to get over the emotional, psychological abuse and stuff like that, right? It takes time. So if you are on your journey and you are trying to level up and people are telling you to get over it, you need to tell those people to fuck off. You know, you have to tell those people like, listen, I am trying my best. This only comes up every so often and I'm working on it. And most of the people that tell you to get over it, they are in denial about their own shit. Yeah, just saying. Okay, the next thing, thanks for coming on that ride with me. The next thing is so this is good boundaries. You only take on responsibilities you can handle. You don't overcommit yourself. Okay. Now, the next one that's unhealthy is feeling exhausted or burnt out by overwhelming commitments and responsibilities. I know that you know that I know that you know what I'm saying. Okay. The next one is they prioritize time for themselves. That's healthy. And unhealthy boundaries is they give a lot of their time to other people. And again, all this leads you right back to feeling resentful and cunty. Okay. The next thing, healthy boundary people. Authentically, they say no, even if you don't have the energy or capacity to do something. So they're just like, yo, I can't do this. Like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the capacity. Even people, and I don't love this all the time, and I force myself to do stuff sometimes because even I get like this, but even like people who like cancel last minute, sometimes it's like you're in this mode and you're just like, I cannot fucking do one more thing. And the people who love you, they will understand. Now, obviously, you don't want to do that all the time, but every so often it's like, whatever, you know? And the people who have a hard time saying no have poor boundaries. And if you have poor boundaries, go back to no is a complete sentence in the earlier stages of the Ambitchious podcast, because that's a doozy of a podcast. The next one is people with healthy boundaries. They set limits for others without feeling guilty or bad, right? And when they have poor boundaries, they feel guilty for expressing their boundaries. They feel guilty for setting the limits, right? They set the limits, but they're like, oh God, the person's going to hate me. They're going to talk shit about me. They're not going to want to be my friend anymore. And like Dr. Seuss says, the people who mind don't matter and the people who matter don't mind. Point blank. The next healthy boundary example is they have a strong sense of identity, purpose, and direction of where they're going. And people who have poor boundaries usually change themselves to fit in with different people. You know these people. They act a different way with every person. Every different person, they put a different mask on, a different mask on, a different mask on. And let me tell you something. Masking is one of the most exhausting psychological things that we do as humans. When you have to like manipulate your energy output to fit who you're with, that is so fucking draining. It's so draining. Okay. So be you unapologetically, and the right people will be attracted to you, and the ones that aren't for you will be repelled. And that's either way, that's okay with me. The next one is healthy boundaries. They take care of their own problems and understand that they cannot heal other people's issues for themselves. I am one of the biggest culprits of this. When they have poor boundaries, like Katie Boyd sometimes, she takes on other people's problems as their own. Like, that's probably why I am who I am. It's probably why I am the type of coach I am, because I love people and I know pain and I don't want anyone to have to feel pain. But through pain and adversity comes the most growth, and that's just my personal opinion. And I gave up a long time ago trying to dangle people. Like, come on, see the light. It's really cool over here being the HBIC. It's like, if you really want to be the HBIC, like how much more I'm just speaking personally, what more can I do for you? I do a weekly podcast. You get a free month of my app. You get a free month of Katie Boyd's Misfit Club. Like, I do so much for people, like, and they still don't take me up on the offer. Not my problem. And the people who are on the app and the people who come to the wellness center and the people who coach with me one-on-one and they come in for healing sessions, they do all this work. They're the ones that really want it. And the other, most of them just play the fucking victim. And the last one is healthy. You communicate your needs and wants and you prioritize your self-care. Unhealthy is you put other people's needs and wants before your own. And I know that all of us do it, but it's the ones that do it all the time are the problems. So if you're really, truly afraid of living your life for other people and waking up one day and being like, where did my life go? And you find yourself continuously and constantly exhausted by all the overcommitments and the overpeopling and the overgiving, it's time to set some really fierce, clear and concise, ambitious boundaries, because it's going to help you reclaim your power. You're going to reclaim your energy, and you're going to reclaim your time, and also your mental well-being and your spiritual well-being. You're just going to feel like $1 million goddamn bucks. And that's just the bottom line. So how are we going to do this? I'm going to give you some really effective ways to set really healthy, fierce, clearly cut, concise, ambitious boundaries today. Okay, y'all ready? So, like I said before, setting boundaries, ambitious boundaries, really starts to and comes down to clear-cut communication. Communicating your needs, your wants, and desires to people in your life is absolutely vital to define your boundaries and to live a more liberated and, like I always say, ambitious existence. So you have to kind of name it to claim it. You have to know what your limits are. You have to know what your boundaries are. You have to know what exhausts you, what sucks your energy. And listen, this is work. Like, this isn't like, oh, one day I just woke up and I'm like, oh my God, my boundaries are just impeccable and perfect. It's not the fucking way it is. Believe me, if it was, I wouldn't be doing this fucking podcast. Okay. So the number one thing is, and I hope you guys have a pen and a paper or a journal, because I'm going to ask you some questions and I want you to answer them. So the numero uno, most important step to defining your boundaries, clear and concise and impeccable and ambitious, is you have to make them concrete. And boundaries are often confusing and abstract because they feel invisible. And they don't just feel invisible to the person that you're setting the boundaries with, they feel that way sometimes to you. But by visualizing your boundaries and writing them down, and every so often going back and like really scoring yourself, seeing like how you're showing up, how you're actually being in the world, how are you enforcing your boundaries? And that is what's going to help you really get more clear and to help you draw the line again and again and again if need be. So I want you to just set aside some time in your life, and I want you to reflect on these questions, and I want you to write them down, and I want you to answer them. I don't care how long it takes, because this is so important. If you feel like exhausted and just drained every fucking day, and you feel like you're having a fucking mentee bee, grippy sock breakdown every day, your boundaries are poor. I promise you. I'm not making fun of you. I'm not calling you out, but I'm telling you that they're poor. So I want you to ask yourself, number one, what is causing me unnecessary stress and discomfort? So just think about it. Like, what is causing you unnecessary stress and discomfort? Or you can even say, who is causing this? And then the what, right? So who is the person? And then what are they doing to cause you this? And remember, we're not playing victim. We're just visualizing. We're really just getting clear and concise about who and the what. Okay. The next question is, what do I look forward to each day versus what do I dread? Oh my God, just saying that out loud. I think of all the things that I absolutely love to do. Like, I love to go to my studio and teach. I love to do my live coaching sessions on my app. I love to cook. I love to keep a nice house. I love to garden. I love to spend time with my husband. I love to, do all these different fun things. And then I think about, like, what do I dread? And there's a lot of things. Not as much as there used to be, but there's still a lot. So I want you to get really real with yourself and don't hold back. The next question is, who or what gives me energy? So when you're around that person or you're doing that action, What fills you up? What makes you feel like so invigorated and just like, oh, that was so fun. That was so good. I feel so full. You don't feel fucking drained and like you need a week's vacation, right? The next question is, what areas of my life make me feel exhausted, drained, sad, not enough, feeble, whatever, okay? Fragile, whatever you want to ask, but it's mostly just being sucked dry and drained. And the next question is, what makes me feel safe, supported, and valued? Okay. So all the things that, could make you feel great could be having a really, concise, beautiful, fun, fulfilling daily routine. I teach this on the app. We call it, I teach in my book too, Perfect Day. We talk about the bitch list. We talk about all those things. Those are the things that make me feel good. It could be words of affirmation or act of service that's done by your partner. It could be hugs, quality time with your loved ones. It could be about like leaving your work at work. A lot of people, including myself, we like to bring work home with us because our work is our lives, So it's like everything is just so meshed and intertwined. And it's a big rat's nest sometimes. Sometimes I get jealous and I envy those people that work like at an office and they could just be like, oh, I'm leaving, bye. Like my work is 24/7. It could be clear communication from people that you love. It could be the freedom to decide how you spend your free time. That's always great. I talk about on my app in my 12-week business course, all right, the triple threat of freedom, which is time freedom, it's financial freedom, it's location freedom. Those things are great. I love that. It could be saying no to energy vampires. It could also be autonomy over your body. These are just some examples, but then you think about it, writing those things down. So you're writing anything that causes discomfort, pain, annoyance, emotional exhaustion. And these are the people and these are the situations that are pushing the limits of your boundaries. So the first thing that the first example was all the fun, beautiful, wonderful things that make you feel great, that make you feel like the HBIC. Now we're going to talk about the things that make you feel like a big poopy diaper. So example, bad things, right? Things that push your boundaries. It could be your mom constantly telling you what you should be doing with your life. Not fun. It could be working after hours on a project instead of prioritizing your self-care or going to the gym or eating healthy or sleeping. It could be continuously and constantly worrying about what people think about you. I know that I get like that sometimes too. And I know so many of the women I work with, they're always worried about what Matilda and Griselda are saying about them. And it's like, who gives a fuck what they say? You don't even worry about what you're saying to your own damn self in your own damn head. It could be someone continuously asking to borrow money from you. It could be a coworker trauma dumping on you every fucking day in the next door cubicle. It could be, for my young girls out there, your roommate eating everything that you buy from the grocery store. Or the worst is, I remember when I had roommates, you would go out to dinner and you'd have leftovers. You couldn't wait to come home the next day and eat that little shitty fucking styrofoam shit filled of leftovers, and the bitch ate it. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want that? Yes, bitch. Why would I have brought it home from fucking Ruby Tuesdays if I didn't want it? The next one is your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your significant other constantly controlling who you spend time with. That's called fucking abuse, FYI. People touching you without asking or invading your space, right? Your physical space. Or it could be people that you don't even really know, always like asking you deep, intimate questions about your life. Or have you ever gone out to dinner with new people and it's like you feel like you're on a fucking job interview? You're like, dude, can we just like shut the fuck up and have an Aperol spritz and stop talking about that? Like, shush. Like, I'm not here to be interviewed by you. So the first thing that you can do is openly communicate your boundaries. So once you've done all that work and you know what drains you, you know what fills you up, now it's time to openly communicate your boundaries. So one of the biggest mistakes that all the people that I work with make is setting boundaries in their mind, but not openly sharing them with the people that need the boundaries set for them. So sometimes, like I was saying when we first started the podcast, sometimes people just assume that you should know their boundaries, which is one of my biggest downfalls in life. Like, people should just know. It's like, they don't fucking know. Most people are dumb fucks. Let's be honest. Most people are so like entrenched in their own chaos, their own bullshit. They don't even think about what is good for you or what would make you happy, right? But remember, again, I'm going to say this a million times today, we teach people how to treat us. So if you don't clearly communicate what you desire and have not drawn that line, then how are these people ever going to know that you have this boundary in the first place, or if they overstepped it? So for a lot of people, this can be a very daunting task. And I know because I've done this work, but remember, being clear is the only way to be when you're living as an HBIC, a head bitch in control of her ambitious life. So today I'm going to talk about different examples, okay, of the type of boundary that you're going to set and maybe how and what to say, okay? Because that's another thing too, is like I coach so many people and they're like, I understand what you're saying, but like, what would I say to this person in this position? And I'm like, oh, okay, so you really want like a real example. All right, here we go. So the type of boundary is a time boundary. Remember, we were talking about how you can have all these different types of boundaries. So the first one is a boundary around your time, because you can always make more money, bitch. You can't make more time. So if you have a time boundary, maybe you have to say right up front, I can only stay for an hour, right? Or if you're going to be late, just let me know ahead of time. That happens a lot with my clients, right? If I'm at the studio and I'm waiting for a client to come in for a healing session or a one-on-one coaching session or a business mentorship session, they may be 10, 15 minutes late. Now, I am just the type of person that my brain always goes like, it's my reticular activating system in my brain always goes to like worst case scenario. Like I think that they're dead in a ditch on the side of the road, which is probably from trauma from childhood, but we're not going to go there today. Some people might just be like pissed that people are late. I'm more like a worry wart. I'm also the type of person spiritually and energetically that I'm like, you arrive when you're supposed to arrive, because you don't know that God is going ahead making crooked places straight, because you don't know if like God is delaying you to not get a speeding ticket or get into a car accident or something like that, right? So I'm not about that. But like if you're going to be late, just hit me up and be like, yo, I'm going to be 10 minutes late. I might have to take a dump. I may want to make a cup of coffee. I may want to go, stretch my labia lips, bring them for a walk around the block. And if I have an extra 10 minutes, I can do that. So really, it's just like telling people, hey, if you're going to be late, just hit me up. Let me know you're going to be late and how long you're going to be late so I can go do other things. I'm so busy. My time is so tight on a daily basis. Like I don't have time to just like throw time away. I don't have the luxury, I guess, to just like frivolously spend my time. So there's always a list. It's usually like a 20 item to-do list. It's always written on like a little sticky note like this. And it's like what I have to do today. And believe me, I can call my lawyer. I can make a business phone call. I can make a cup of coffee. I can take a piss. Okay. Like just be nice. The next one is your energetic boundaries. So you may say to someone like that asks you to do something like, hey, I don't really have the energy to help you with that. Or, here's something that maybe could help instead, but like I just physically don't have the gumption, the energy, the bandwidth to do that right now. And like I said, the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. The next one is people who emotionally or trauma dump on you. You know who I'm talking about. I'm sure that someone's head just popped up in your brain and you're like, that bitch, right? So if someone is like constantly emotionally dumping on you, I used to have a friend who I loved dearly, and she would always call me and she would dump on me for like 10, 15 minutes. And then when it was like, because in my opinion, I mean, I'm not miss etiquette or anything, but I know it's like conversations are usually two-way streets. Like you say something, then the person says something, then you say, it's kind of like a ping pong or a pickleball match, right? I used to have a friend that always would like dump on me. And then when it was time for me to be like, oh, so what I'm doing with my life or what's going on in my life, she'd be like, oh, I gotta go. And she would just like hang up. And I'd be like, okay, that wasn't good, So if someone is emotionally dumping on you or trauma dumping on you, all you have to say is, I understand that you're having a really hard time right now. And I really, truly, deeply desire to be here for you, but I don't have the emotional capacity to deal with this right now or listen to this right now. Because you don't realize sometimes that someone is going through their own shit. Like I have so many people that still to this day will do this to me, because I think that people just think that my life is perfect and I don't get sad and I don't get depressed and I don't get anxious and I don't get fearful, or, I don't get my period twice in a month or whatever. Okay. Perimenopause is a real bitch, guys. Anywho, But I think that for me personally, people just think, oh, like Katie's got a perfect life and she's got it all figured out. So like I can just jump on her. And it's like sometimes I'm going through my own emotional stuff and I don't have the bandwidth to do that. Or because what I do for work, I take that on so much that on the days that I have off, I don't want to get on phone calls with friends and listen to them, their bitch and complain, or family members bitch and complain about shit that 99.9% of the time is their own motherfucking fault. Sorry, not sorry. So you just say like, hey, I really want to be here for you, but I don't have that bandwidth. Can we talk about this tomorrow? And maybe tomorrow you'll feel a little bit stronger and you can handle it. The next one is a personal space boundary. This is like not really unless you're living in an abusive home or you're in an abusive relationship or you're hanging out in seedy areas where people just think they can get in your space or touch you or whatever. This is like one that doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen sometimes. I've had it happen to me like numerous times. I remember at my 20th high school reunion, a guy just like walked up to me and like just felt up my boobs. Like everyone was drinking. I know I'm not making an excuse for him, but I think he just always wanted to touch my tatas. And I was just like, this kid's got balls because my freaking 280-pound husband is sitting right over there and he's a big motherfucker. I would not fuck with him. And Matt was just like, whatever, dude, you can handle yourself. Like, obviously I was hammered. So I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? But if I was sober, I probably would have clocked this kid in the fucking head. I'm not going to say his name and incriminate him. He's already an embarrassment. But a lot of people I talk to have these personal space boundary issues if they're in abusive marriages and abusive relationships or whatever. So when someone is kind of like overstepping that personal space boundary, you have to say to them, it makes me feel uncomfortable when you fill in the blank, touch me however, and I'll have to leave if you don't respect my space, period. And it could literally be the person next to you sitting at a bar that you don't even know that just keeps putting his hand on you or keeps getting too close to you or whatever. You know, people get weird. People are strange motherfuckers. The next one is a conversational boundary. So this is like when people want to talk about something that you don't want to talk about or you're not ready to talk about at the point, and you just say like, hey, this topic, like I'm just like not willing to discuss this right now, or this is not a good time for me. Can we like talk about this another time? And I know that's like, Katie, really? That's so simple. Yes, bitch. This shit is simple. I didn't say it was easy. I just said it was simple. And it's just having the right tools for the right job every time you go out into the third dimension. The next one is a comment boundary. And I talk about this story and I've talked about this on other podcasts, but when someone says something rude to you, whether it's like they're just being goofy or stupid, or they really want to hurt you, or they're just trying to see how they can push your buttons or whatever, the first thing to say is like, I don't find those types of comments funny. And I talk about this a lot. When someone's trying to say something to you to embarrass you, and this happens a lot, and it's happened to me numerous times, the best thing to say is when someone's trying to intimidate you or embarrass you or make you look like a fucking fool, which this is the world we're living in. If someone says talk some shit, the best thing to do, especially if you're around like other people, just look at them and go, what did you just say to me? Because it's giving these people two options. Either A, they have to be like, oh, I was only kidding, which makes them look like assholes because you know that they were not only kidding, they were being losers. Or they're so fucking dumb that they will say it again and you're like, you're an idiot. So either way, you make them look like an asshole. I talk about on past podcasts is I had a best friend for years and years and years who married this total fucking doofus. And at their wedding, we were taking pictures after the wedding, and I have tiggle bitties. Okay. If you've ever seen my titties, they are massive jugs. Matt loves them. He's like, I was never a boob guy before I met you, but look at these puppies. Okay. I got some serious sweater puppies going on. And it was funny because I would always make fun of my mom because she had huge titties too. And she's like, you're going to get them bigger than mine. And I'm like, never. And now I'm like, okay, yep. But anywho, I have tiggle bitties. So the dress that they wanted us to wear for the wedding had like a very plunging neckline, and it looked really good on the other girls because they had like, you know, they were part of the itty bitty titty committee, but I have like just tiggle bitties. Okay. So these things were just like, wow. They were like, wow, like fighting to get out of that fucking halter top. Okay. And we were all taking pictures, and her husband says in front of all of the bridesmaids and all of the groomsmen and my best friend, who, especially the groomsmen, because all of those men like really respected me. He goes, Jesus Christ, Katie, you have the biggest tits I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't say anything back to him because I was so mortified and I was so embarrassed. And I think of it now, and that's why the comment boundary thing comes up for me a lot, because I've had these types of things happen to me so much in the past, and it makes me freeze. Like, I'm like, oh my God, what do I say? Do I call him a fucking asshole? Do I tell him he has a little dick? Like, what do I do? What do I do? And, you kind of have to be like light on your feet when you're around a bunch of assholes. But I wish that I would have just totally fucked him up right then and there, but I didn't. I don't even remember, actually. It was so long ago. I don't even remember what I actually said. I probably did say something fucking snide to him, but it just wasn't a good fucking zinger. And all the groomsmen came up to me after and they were like, I'm so sorry. That was so embarrassing. I was just so caught off guard. Like, I didn't even know what to say. It was fucking weird and la 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 and whatever. But listen, I know that these things don't just happen to me. I know they happen to you too. So the next time someone says something fucked up to you, you say, I don't find that thing funny. Or you say, like, what did you just say? Or you could also say, like, what are you trying to accomplish with that comment? Because it puts the power into your court and it pushes it out to them where they have to like figure it out. And they usually almost 100% of the time look like turds. So that's so important. The next one's a mental boundary. So this could be like when you fight with people over politics or religion or just bullshit, like shit you should not even be having any fights about because it's just so fucking stupid. Because at the end of the day, you are never like, let's just say someone loves Joe Biden and they love that he poops his pants and he falls off bicycles and he, eats ice cream all day, whatever. Do you think that me being a conservative is ever going to make them be a conservative? Like, it's never going to happen. And vice versa. Let's just say you love Donald Trump and you're like, I love he's the little orange man and all the fucking, he's a racist, he's this, he's that, whatever, all the rhetoric that people say about both Joe Biden and fucking Donald Trump. Do you think that you're going to make a fucking diehard liberal turn Republican overnight? I mean, yeah, it fucking happens, but like, you're probably wasting your damn breath. So that being said, when you're getting into these mental boundary pushes and shoves, you have to say, like, I understand that we see things differently, and I totally 100% respect your opinion, but please, if you love me, you won't force this on me. And that should be the end of the conversation. It shouldn't be like, I watch like a lot of this shit on Facebook. Like there's a thing on Facebook called like Wyndham Uncensored. It's like my town, like whatever, a little thing on Facebook. And these people fucking fight tooth and nail. I'm like, you motherfuckers need to get a goddamn life. You need to get a job. You need to wake up and have purpose. You got to start reallocating your fucking time, that a lot of time you have on your hands talking shit and trying to like besmirch people and make people think the way that you think and like make fun of them for the craziest shit. Like, I don't really pay attention to it. When I ran for planning board, I kind of had to, because like that's how I kind of got like what was going on in the town for different things that I was doing and had to do. But now I like look at it every so often. And I'm like, wow, you people need to get motherfucking lives. And I mean like on all pages. Like if you have that much time on your hands, why don't you think about reallocating it to doing philanthropic work? Maybe go to a soup kitchen, raise some funds for like the homeless cat down the street. Like just reallocate your fucking time to do something that's actually going to help the world, instead of just calling people names and making fun of whatever you're making fun of. It's just so crazy. Like there's people on there that make fun of me and I'm like, I don't even know you. If I literally saw you on the street, I would not even know who you were. So like obviously, why are you so obsessed with me? You know who you fucking are if you're listening to this, you little bitch. Anyways, so that's the mental boundary. The next one is a material boundary. This doesn't really happen a lot. This more happens to like when you're living with your siblings or you're living with your kid that goes into your room and steals your shit all the time. But a material boundary would be, can you please ask me first before borrowing fill in the blank my possession? Or I would really appreciate it if you didn't touch my fill in the blank material possession, right? And then they just know, okay, next time I want to go borrow my mom's, Christian Louboutin shoes to wear to 7th grade dance, I'm going to ask her. Next time I'm going to go and touch the Fabergé egg in the curio cabinet, I'm going to ask permission, and people just, I always talk about my bowls. I have crystal tone bowls that I play for sound healing, and every so often you'll get this wahoo that will just come in and they'll try to start banging on the bowls. And I'm like, excuse me, like those bowls are not off of Amazon. Some of these bowls cost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, So gotta just tell people, and then they usually won't do it again unless they're psychopaths or narcissists, but mostly they won't. And the last but not least, like this is the newer one, is a social media boundary. I see this a lot with women my age who have children, little kids, where their grandparents or like a relative or a friend will post pictures of their kids on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff without their permission. So you just have to tell them, like, listen, I don't allow people to post pictures of my children unless they ask, or I don't really feel comfortable with you posting that on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But how are people going to know if you don't tell them, right? And when people know your boundaries, most people, like, they're going to respect them and they're going to apologize most likely if they cross the line. But it all is up to your clear-cut communication, and it has to be so concise and so fierce and so impeccable, because when it's not, the lines quickly become blurred and you can quickly find yourself crossing into more dangerous territory. You can feel yourself getting burned out. You can feel yourself getting resentful or taken advantage of, or you can also neglect, your own needs. So the more clear-cut, impeccable that you are with your boundaries, and you're direct and to the point, and you're honest about communicating your boundaries, the easier it's going to be to uphold them and uphold them for the long run. And boundaries are kind of like rules of a relationship. When clearly displayed and clearly communicated, all the parties involved makes it just easier to respect each other. It's just the way it is, right? You have to also continuously, as an ambitious woman, you have to always reiterate and uphold your boundaries. So just like that invisible perimeter fence around a yard, right, that protects the dog, right? They have the little collar, and it's like if they go outside of the perimeter, they get a little beep, little shock. And it's actually for their own safety, because it prevents the dogs from like running into the street and running away or getting hit by a car. It's the same thing. Your boundaries protect you from overextending your mental, emotional, physical, psychological, energetic, spiritual well-being, period. Right? And that dog also has to be trained to not cross that line. They, as little doggy pals, have to understand where their yard begins and where their yard ends. And it takes time and repetition and patience. Just like a dog, you don't give up on people. And I don't want to, people are like, hey, you don't call people dogs. You're dog shaming people. Like, fuck off. I'm not. I'm just trying to make a point. And the same is true with human boundaries. So not everyone is just going to, understand or respect those boundaries. It's just not going to happen. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. And, it's really important to really stand firm in your decision, while also kindly, right? You don't have to be see you next Tuesday every day, but you also have to kindly remind them of your needs when it's necessary, right? Just like that, a dog is going to get really confused if the yard ends at the bushes one day, but then extends out to the sidewalk the next day. They're going to be like, what the fuck, dude? Is the bushes or the sidewalk? Is the bushes or the sidewalk? Why does this bitch keep changing my boundaries? And if someone doesn't initially respect your boundaries, you have to remind them continuously, and you just have to stay really consistent with your original decisions. Okay. So a little pro tip here, where we have to avoid shifting our boundaries for someone else's comfort. And this happens a lot. You get a little soft, you're having a little soft day, or you might be tired or whatever, and you're like, oh God, I can't deal with this today. I'm not going to fucking do this, whatever. Just let her do whatever the fuck she wants. And every fucking time you do that, you're telling them it's okay to step over the line, right? So if you say, like, for example, I don't feel comfortable when you contact me after work hours. Like, it might be a coworker or something, right? I don't feel comfortable with you contacting me outside work hours, right? So you probably don't want to send the message that sometimes it's okay for you to text me late at night and other times it's not. It can't be like on your wants and whims. You have to stay strict and concise. And it's going to be awkward at first. It's going to be uncomfortable initially, but a person who truly desires to be in your life for whatever reason, whether it's coworker or love or a friend or whatever, they're going to respect your decision. So you have to stay strong. And you cannot be afraid to say no. And you don't need to give people a reason why you're saying no, you know? And I know that we've all had those people in our lives, and you may be that person, is you say yes to everything. And people are afraid to say no, and they often end up with an overflowing plate, right? They're juggling all the balls of responsibilities and duties that they can never, ever, ever keep up with. And what happens is, like we all know, when that happens, you usually forgo your self-care trying to meet everyone else's needs. And no is a powerful word. Like I said, go back and listen to the No is a Complete Sentence podcast. It's such a good podcast. And no means no. I don't know. I'm an 80s baby. So, that was like in our rhetoric. That was in our narrative. No means no. And a lot of people in this day and age have really been programmed by their caretakers, their family of origin, to kind of feel guilty to say no. And in reality, saying no clearly draws a line in the sand, and it expresses courage and self-esteem and self-love and enoughness and sovereignty over your daily decisions. And remember, for every yes that you say, when you really want to say no, that's what's going to shape your reality. And you can truly choose how you're going to spend your time and how you're going to spend your energy. And if something doesn't feel right in your gut, you probably shouldn't do it. And the word no is essential for healthy boundaries. Okay. That's just fucking bottom line. Okay. So I want you to really think about everything that I said today. I want you to do the work. I want you to get out the journal. I want you to reflect. I want you to practice. I want you to do all those things. And I think that we're going to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of the boundaries, but we've already gone into an hour. And I know a lot of the women out there in Ambitchious land have busy ass lives and kids and families and jobs and responsibilities. So I'm going to cut us off here. But on next week's podcast, I'm going to go into more of the nitty gritty of all these different examples of all, different boundaries. I think it's going to help you even more. And I hope that you're really loving these podcasts. I know that they're single podcasts. They're kind of like old school Ambitchious podcast. I haven't had a lot of people on to interview because I really felt the need and the deep desire to really get serious about what I'm talking about, because if I'm the leader of the Ambitchious movement and I'm feeling a certain way, I can only imagine what you guys are feeling like out there, and we got to get fierce, and we have to get clear cut, and we have to get concise, and we have to get impeccable with our boundaries. We can't give up. We got to stay focused. We can't be distracted. And we have to continuously ask ourselves, are the actions that we're doing on a daily basis getting us closer to or further away the ambitious woman that you desire to be? And that's what I ask myself every day. And when it's no, we got to change it. We got to flip the script. Okay. So I hope that you found great value in this podcast. You guys know that I don't do advertisements here. I can make a lot of money off of advertisements, but I don't want to bother you guys with it. And plus, I don't want to be beholden to the people who are paying me to say shit about their shit. I just want to talk shit about my shit. And so my shit is scrolling down to the show notes and clicking on getting your free month of the Ambitchious app. Or if you're a local gal and you want to take me up on a free month of the app, as well as Katie Boyd's Misfit Club, my wellness center in Hudson, New Hampshire, I'm also gifting a free month of classes. Just email me at help@kbmfc.com. And I will get you in, and I will give you all of the roster of all the different classes and all the things that we're doing. And if you really did get a lot of value, please share this on your Instagram, on your Facebook, text it to a friend, copy the link, send it out to your people who probably have poor fucking boundaries too. Because more people have poor boundaries than don't. And that's just the motherfucking truth. So share it out with as many people as you can. Help make Ambitchious an even bigger movement than it already is. I always love to hear from you guys, so always email me. That help@kbmfc.com goes directly to me. I'm the one that's going to answer those questions. And I just thank you for showing up here week after week and being part of this Ambitchious movement. Like I always say, see you next Tuesday don't forget to stay ambitious. Love y'all.